This is your Pain Game podcast, where we talk about the game of living in and with chronic pain and trauma, getting to the heart of how to heal. I am your host, Lyndsay Soprano. On this show, I plan on discussing with doctors, chronic pain patients, holistic practitioners, loved ones, and anybody that is interested in having their voice heard in the chronic pain and trauma world that we live in. Insomnia, pain, and stress. Those are words that are spoken in my household every freaking day. And as you all know by now, I have issues with all three of those amongst many others, also, as you know. And I have for as long as I can remember. Over the years since my painful diagnosis of CRPS coupled with Lyme disease, sleep has not been my friend. Most of it is due to pain and also busy brain disorder, which I talk about often. And that busy brain disorder comes from my anxiety, panic attacks, stress, all of those things that we talk about a lot on this show. So what I'm getting at here is insomnia, stress, and pain is all connected, at least from my perspective. And I don't know about you, but I'd like to sleep deeper. I'd like to stress less. And I want to feel my absolute best, which I don't even know the last time I felt wonderful. That is sad to say out loud, without depending on big pharma, because you know how I am about big pharma, all these addictive, toxic supplements and medications that we take. I mean, it just adds up and adds up in our body and certainly our bank accounts as well. And I mean, we have spent so much money on supplementation to get well, to sleep, to cure this, to cure that. And I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of being tired. I'm sick and tired of migraines. I'm sick and tired of anxiety. And I'm still searching constantly, right, for us to find some form of solution for this. So today I would like to talk about rest, relief, and tranquility by using magnesium. Now, before you're like, magnesium makes me poop, just wait for our guest today because she's going to debunk that entire stigma and chat with us about how we can deliver magnesium straight into our cells so we can say goodbye to the big three, which I coined for this episode, insomnia, pain, and stress. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to my guest today, Natalie Jurado. Hello, darling.
Hello. Thanks for having me on. I am psyched to talk about my favorite topic in the entire world, magnesium.
Who'd have thought, like, we're in elementary school, like, I'm going to be like a gung-ho magnesium chick.
Never would I have thought that.
Never would I thought that I would be in a wheelchair for half of my life either. So, shit happens. So Natalie is the founder of Rooted In. It's a company with a line of therapeutic magnesium-infused moisturizers, right? Not supplements. We're going to talk about that actively calm, a word I'm not used to, and relax your mood. Natalie is a sought-after thought leader, educator, and speaker, and has worked at the forefront of the wellness industry for almost a decade. She's considered an expert in all things magnesium, and her mission is to spread awareness of this powerful mineral to all who struggle with the big three, like I said, amongst other ailments, to live their most vibrant lives. And I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty awesome to me. So, all right, I'm rolling out the red carpet for you, babe. I'd like to start talking about what magnesium actually is and why our bodies need it. And then let's take it from there.
Absolutely. So magnesium is ultra, super, uber trendy right now. You turn on any Instagram post, TikTok, it's all over the place. And a lot of times people are like, okay, what is it? I need this. That they kind of go bonkers for it. But it's all it is a mineral, right? It's just a mineral that's present in our food. It's not a drug. It's not something you need a prescription for. It's a mineral that's present in our food that we're supposed to be getting through our diet. We're supposed to be eating all of those mineral-rich foods and drinking that mineral-rich water so that we can fuel our bodies with magnesium. This mineral is responsible for over 700 different biochemical reactions in your body.
Whoa.
700 things.
Holy crap.
Magnesium.
Wow.
It's also present in every single one of our trillions of cells. So without magnesium, we wouldn't live anymore. Like, it'd be game over. So it is that vital. It is that unbelievably important to all of our bodily functions.
Yeah, I mean, in researching this, it's talking about regulating muscle and nerve function, balancing blood sugar and blood pressure, making protein and bone and DNA, supporting immune system, aiding in energy, like all of these things. I'm like, holy crap. So she has this magnesium quiz on her website, which I took and I totally epically failed it, right? Because I know with my stuff, as you guys know, I have a cute little eating disorder that happened with all this pain stuff. So I definitely don't get a lot of the nutrients that I need from food because food is now a bigger challenge than it used to be for me. So why did you even get into magnesium?
Well, first of all, Lindsay, you're not alone. Like up to 70% of our population fails to get enough magnesium. So like if you're hearing this, you're probably low in magnesium too. So it is really unbelievably widespread. It's become an epidemic because our standard American diet just isn't really what it's supposed to be. So it really is a huge issue in our society.
Oh, for sure, especially here in America. I mean, I go travel into Europe. I have no issues with food. My stomach doesn't have any problems. Wine doesn't drive me crazy. Like it's unbelievable what we do to our food here in America. It's terrible.
Absolutely. It's tragic what we allow in our food system and what we are conditioned and programmed to eat on a regular basis.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned in the beginning about being psyched about magnesium. So talk a little bit about why you're so psyched and how you got into it, because I know your story is similar to mine in some nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like most people, our solution comes from the problems that we personally face, right? So, I was struggling with severe insomnia, sleeping about 2 hours a night. And that 2 hours wasn't even 2 hours straight. It was like I'd fall asleep and then I'd wake up and then it was awful. So, severe insomnia, anxiety that just really upended my entire life. And then coupled, of course, by panic attacks. So I'd be at the grocery store, right in line to check out, panic attack would happen, leave all the groceries, run out the store. So it was absolutely like I was struggling to drive. I was struggling to take care of my kids. I was struggling to hold down a job. Like it
Wow.
really had gotten out of control. And I was doing what everybody tells you you're supposed to do, eating a good, healthy, plant-based whole foods diet and making sure that you exercise regularly and take time out for yourself.
Air quotes for sure. Self-care.
Yes. And of course, when people say, hey, you just have to stop stressing. Sure, I'll do that. I'll just
Yeah,
stop
thanks,
stressing.
man. Yeah, I'll just knock that off.
Exactly. So I was doing everything you're supposed to do, and I was still really, really struggling. So I did what most people, most normal people would do. You go to the doctor and you say, hey, doc, I'm not working. Fix me. And so the doctor sent me to a bunch of specialists. She did so much or took so much blood work. I felt like a human pincushion. And when it was all said and done, she sat me down and she said, Natalie, there's nothing wrong with you. She's like, your blood work is perfect. You're in range. Everything's great. And then she sent me on my way with a litany of prescriptions that all made me feel like a grayed out zombie. Like it made me feel like somebody had sucked all the color out of my world and that I felt nothing. And so in my world, I'd rather feel something than feel nothing. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So I decided, that the doctor was not going to be in charge of what I consider normal. So my blood work may have been normal, but my behaviors and my mental health was not. And so I decided to take control and just dive into everything I possibly could. I did acupuncture. I met with nutritionists. I met with dietitians. I met with energy healers. I met with chiropractors. I did everything.
Yeah, for sure. All the things.
All of the things, spent all of the money and did all of the things. And at the end of the day, it wasn't until I bumped into a random stranger at a farmer's market. She was an older lady and her and I got to talking. She's like, have you tried magnesium? I'm like, lady, I've tried every pill under the sun. And she's like, no, have you sprayed it on your skin? Put it on your skin. I'm like, all right. Ran to the health food store, bought a bottle of magnesium spray, sprayed it all over my body, and it itched, irritated, and burned the heck out of my skin. But I slept that night. And then I kept using it for a week. I went from sleeping 2 hours a night to sleeping 6 hours a night. Anxiety started to go away. Did not have a panic attack in an entire week, which was huge for me.
Wow.
And that's what made me go, wait a second. This lady at the farmer's market, she was onto something. And that spurred all the research. I kind of went down the rabbit hole. I got hyper focused on it, went down the rabbit hole and started realizing that we have a serious problem in this country. Like people shouldn't have to spend the amount of money that I spent on treatments just to get no answers, especially when it's an answer that's right there in front of us.
Well, and you're talking about all of the blood work and anybody that has been ill, chronic pain, all of us, we've been through that litany of blood. Like you said, you're a pincushion. I absolutely understand it because I've been sliced and diced and poked and prodded. I'm like, I am not cattle. Like this is the worst. And my body took such a beating. I mean, some of it's my own fault because, we all go research and Google is our worst enemy sometimes. And you're like, oh, I'll try this. Well, I'll try that. And we give everything a try because we always say, well, let's throw more spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. I'm still seeking, especially when it comes with sleep. And pain is what keeps me up mostly with sleep. But I've been an insomniac since I was 9 years old. I wasn't in pain when I was 9. I had childhood trauma, which of course came out. And, through this show, I'm trying to work through that. Thank you for being my therapist, by the way, listeners. It's pretty unbelievable that something that's natural in our environment, in our world, magnesium of all things, can tackle all of these ailments. I'm just stoked about it.
Absolutely. I always like to compare it to like gas in a car. When you put gas in your car runs because it's got the right fuel. But when we fill our car with sugar and processed foods and all the stuff that's not gas, then the car is not going to work, right? And we are the same way, that because magnesium is involved in all of those different functions in our body, without it, our body just doesn't function the way that it's supposed to. It's a foundational nutrient that we need in order to exist.
So when you first decided, you went down all your rabbit holes, you're reaching out to nutritionists and doctors and all of this, and you started this whole journey for yourself, you decided, okay, this is helping. But you started with that spray and it was itchy. And I know because I did the same thing. It actually burned me. And with CRPS, I don't know how familiar you are with CRPS. It's super rare. But I feel like I'm on fire 24 hours a day from my bone marrow out, from head to toe. So for me, anything that even gives like capsaicin, for example, anything that has any kind of like tingling or heat sensation, oh my gosh, it's like I'm standing in a fireplace. So that rings really true to me about the spray versus what your products do. So I want to get into a little bit about how you started. Now I want to do this for a living. And your story is great with your family packing things up in your living room and then making a garage out of it. And your story is so wonderful. So let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started doing all this research and I started thinking, okay, we've got to take this spray and put it into a cream because the spray is awesome, but it feels horrible. So I'm like, if you mix it into a lotion and make that lotion work for us, let's do that. And I started looking at what is out there. And there are magnesium creams on the market. Unfortunately, the ones that are out there are either made on Etsy by some lady in her kitchen and you don't know if her cats are dancing all around the formula.
I'm dead. Cats dancing around the kitchen in Etsy store.
Look, I don't eat from everybody's house. I don't use products from everybody's house.
Oh my God, exactly.
So you never really know. And the other side of that is, does it have a therapeutic amount of magnesium? And you can't guarantee that when you're buying that from somebody who's making it in their kitchen, right? They can't tell you how much magnesium is actually in the product. And we know from the studies that we need about 500 milligrams of magnesium chloride twice a day on our skin in order to adequately raise our magnesium levels. So we know that there is a therapeutic goal when we're using magnesium cream. The other side of the spectrum is that the magnesium creams on the market, the other side of that is that they all come from like chiropractors' offices and they smell, look, and feel like medicine.
Yes.
So like they're sticky and they smell like your grandmother's medicine cabinet. And like you don't want to put it on your skin.
It's like, does it smell like Ben Gay in here or what?
Yeah, exactly. Like you know who that person is with the Ben Gay, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so like I wanted something that felt good, that looked good, and that would seamlessly replace your regular everyday body moisturizer. Because the truth is, especially when you've gone down journeys like yours and I's, where you've tried every supplement under the sun, you are sick and tired of remembering to take a supplement. And
Amen.
99% of the time, my ADHD kicks up and I'm going to forget for at least 2 weeks in a row. So like I needed something that was seamless, something that like, okay, I already put lotion on every day. Let me put on a lotion that actually does something for me. And that way I don't have to think about it. So that was the whole intent behind the cream, is to create something that I can use, my kids can use, my pregnant friend can use, and my elderly grandmother can use. Like everybody can use it and it's simple to use.
And I just ordered her products actually the other day. And so I'm looking forward to trying these out. And I like that it's a moisturizer like you're talking about, because especially with us women, every morning we get ready, we're used to doing that. Men, not so much. They stink at moisturizing. They stink at taking care of their skin and their hair and all of that because they're not myopically looked at like women are. They're not waking up, putting on mascara and lipstick every morning, are they? So I want to talk about the benefits of magnesium that you can see fairly quickly with using your product? Because on this show, I don't do products like I'm doing right now. I do not do this because this isn't a show to sell. It's a show to help give people hope in their living environments. But you particularly, your story and your product is something that I feel very, very strong about. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in order to truly understand the benefits of magnesium, we have to understand the symptoms. So, what it looks like, what a typical magnesium deficient person is going to look like, they're going to struggle with sleep. They're going to have a hard time falling asleep and staying asleep. They're going to have restless legs. They'll have cramping in their muscles, muscle twitching. They'll have chronic headaches and migraines. They'll have hormonal swings and hormonal issues, moodiness, irritability, excessive mind chatter. They'll have, if you hear these symptoms, you're like, wow, that's a lot.
That's me. You literally just listed every single thing that I do. I like what was the mindless chatter in your, that's what I call busy brain disorder. I'm just like, I'm trying to solve the world's problems all night long.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do I think? I'm God?
Solving every problem while making a grilled cheese, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. So that's classical symptoms of magnesium deficiency. And the problem is it's often referred to as invisible deficiency because if you go to your doctor with those issues, they're not going to say, oh, that's probably low magnesium. They're going to say, oh, you have this, give you every other label under the sun, which is what they did to me, and not even discuss nutrition and the role of these minerals in our diet. So that's why it's typically overlooked and diagnosed for something else. So that's why it's so often called the invisible deficiency. So when we look at the benefits of magnesium, the benefits are when you give your body the nutrients and minerals that it needs, it functions the way it's supposed to. Right? So oftentimes I'll tell people that magnesium is going to knock you out and help you sleep, but it's also going to give you energy throughout the day. And people often ask, okay, how does it make you sleep and give you energy?
Right. That's what I was going to ask.
It's because it helps your body do what your body is supposed to do. Our bodies are built to be able to sleep at night and rest and recover. And our bodies are built to have energy throughout the day and be able to get all of our things done. So it literally makes our body do what it's supposed to do. And so it makes your body function just in a wonderful, practical way, right?
Yeah. And I find that it's interesting and in reading more about this and obviously going through all of your stuff with a fine tooth comb, that it also helps, like you mentioned, boost mood, but it also helps with your workouts. It helps reduce belly fat. It helps you lose weight, again, because it's helping your body do what it's supposed to do. And it sounds like magic in a jar, right? Of course it does. And everyone's like, yeah, sure. It's a cream. I don't know, guys. Everything that I have taken over my entire journey here with my pain, there has been only a few things that have worked. And that was changing from normal Western medicine to functional. That's how I found out I had Lyme disease. That's how I found out I had all these co-infections around that. That's nuts to me.
Absolutely. And it's funny, you said a key buzzword, your cholesterol. So let's talk about magnesium and cholesterol.
Let's do that. Because my cholesterol is 325 and I weigh 110 pounds. Like what? And I don't eat anything that could raise my cholesterol at all.
So it could be, and I'm not, of course, not diagnosing you. Speak with your functional medicine doctor.
Yeah, I will.
Fine print, right? But it could be due to low magnesium. So magnesium actually limits the activity of a cholesterol enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase. And that enzyme basically is responsible for turning on and turning off cholesterol. It's your on-off switch for cholesterol. It's the same switch that drugs like statins activate, right? So statins lower your cholesterol because they activate that same enzyme. So magnesium's job in the body is to activate that shutoff switch. And when you don't have enough magnesium, that switch doesn't get shut off. And so you're pumping out more and more and more cholesterol. And so people find that when they start supplementing with magnesium, they find that one of the great side effects is that their cholesterol starts to go down rather quickly, actually. So it really can be an effective way to intervene with cholesterol.
So how does it work as far as dosing is concerned? Because it is a cream, right? And so when we think about supplements, there's a specific pill and there's a certain amount in it. How do you actually dose yourself when you're using the cream?
So the beautiful thing about using magnesium on your skin is that your skin will help regulate how much magnesium you absorb. So you can't overdose on magnesium through your skin. I like to compare it to swimming in the ocean. So the ocean is actually made up of 35% magnesium chloride, and we can swim all day long. Like I'm a Florida girly. We're at the beach any chance we get. And I can swim all day long, and nobody ever in the history of time has ever said, get out of the water, you're going to overdose on magnesium. happened, right? So our skin will regulate how much magnesium we do absorb. So you can use it freely as often as needed without ever having to worry. It's also why it's so safe to use while you're pregnant. It's also safe to use on your children. Children desperately need magnesium. It is so unbelievably overlooked. There are just incredible studies done on ADHD and children showing that the participants in the studies who all had ADHD were just severely low in magnesium. And when they started supplementing with magnesium, a lot of those symptoms improved. So we are seeing correlations with a lot of childhood diseases and low magnesium as well. And it's primarily because our kids are not eating the foods that are high in magnesium, like spinach, nuts, leafy greens, seeds. I don't know about you, but my teenagers, like I have to force them to eat a vegetable. So it's really hard to get enough magnesium into our children.
And yeah, the diet thing is a huge thing, especially with kids. I mean, I've got nieces and nephews, and two of my nephews, they literally live on fast food. That's it. It's like every single thing that they pay for is like Jack in the Box and like Uber Eats and Door Dashing. And it's all this fast food. That is all they're eating. And it makes me sick to my stomach to even think about why that's happening, much less what they're missing out on in their development and their focus and their mood and their sleep. They eat like shit and then they crash and burn and then they have to sleep like half of the day away. And it's really frustrating to watch because you're like, guys, it's a beautiful day out. Like, let's get out. Let's go do some stuff. And they're totally tired and run down. And it's really sad because we're watching, it's like an epidemic with our kids, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
We couple that with the fact that we put these ridiculous demands on these kids, especially when they're younger, to stay seated in a classroom for 8 hours a day and then take a bunch of tests and do homework when they get home. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's awful what we're doing to our children.
It is. And COVID didn't help us either at all. And so we've got, especially in the younger age brackets where, you know, they didn't have anything. What were they? Were they all eating McDonald's the entire time during COVID? I have no idea how any of it worked because I wasn't around my nieces and nephews during that span of time. But it drives me nuts that we tend to do the quick fix. Our doctors, Western medicine specifically, just like you've mentioned, and I have as well, is they're like, well, you have anxiety. Well, let's put you on an anti-anxiety medication. Let's do this for depression. Let's do this. And then they cause all these other side effects. And you're like, wait a second. So now I have to take this for that side effect because of this pill that gave me that. It's unbelievable. And that's why I started in the beginning talking about how I have worked very, very hard to not do the big pharma thing, especially with my pain. And it took me almost like dying for me to change my mind about Western medicine. I mean, it has its place, obviously, right? But in our case, for this type of conversation, I don't feel that it does because a lot of doctors are now bogged down with paperwork and they're not asking nutrition questions. They're not asking about lifestyle. They don't have time to spend with us. And that's where functional medicine, they do. They legitimately spend an hour and a half with you. Like it's wonderful for all of that testing. So it's clear that magnesium changed your life. I mean, that is a powerful message.
Absolutely. And like I said earlier, you can't supplement your way out of a bad diet. So always make sure you're doing the right steps. You're taking care of yourself, doing everything else, because a lot of people will say, well, I tried magnesium and it didn't work. And I'm like, okay, what did you eat? How are you living? What type did you take? Don't give magnesium a bad name because you're taking it wrong,
Yeah.
So so I always have these follow-up questions. And when it comes down to it, most of the time they're taking the wrong type or they're living just a fast food fueled lifestyle, or they're maybe not taking a good quality brand. So there's always more to it when somebody says, oh, magnesium didn't work for me.
After researching so much more about this, I fell in love with this mineral. Because it seems too good to be true, but how can you, there are some people that don't believe in science. So you guys can just hang up. But when it comes to science-based, information, I tend to follow it. And this is pretty unbelievable.
Absolutely. And I always tell people everything that I'm saying, you can find it on the National Institute of Health. It's actually readily available for people to find. It's just if you don't know what to search for, likewise, if you don't know which questions to ask your physician, it's hard to know what you don't know. And that kind of leads me to another thing. A lot of people will go get their magnesium checked. They'll go and say, hey, doc, I heard some crazy lady talking about magnesium. I need to get my magnesium levels checked.
Yeah.
they'll go make that appointment with their physician. They get a magnesium serum test and the magnesium comes back perfectly fine. And then they reach out to me saying, well, my magnesium's fine. What, does that mean I need to supplement? Yes, 100,000,000,000%. And the reason why is because magnesium blood tests are not a good indicator of overall magnesium deficiency. And that's because about 60% of your body's magnesium is stored in your bones. The other 40% is in your muscles, tissues, and organs. And less than 1% is actually stored in your blood. So if your blood work looks fine, that doesn't mean that you haven't been struggling with deficiency all throughout your body for the last 10 years, even though your blood works perfectly fine. So, and physicians, unfortunately, they don't often know that. So it's really important to be informed and to make sure you have these conversations with your doctors and ask them the right questions.
And how do you get magnesium tests then that are accurate with your bones and your muscles and all of that?
So the National Institute of Health has said that there is no accurate test for magnesium deficiency that's available to the public. You would have to do some of these really wild, bone tests that is just not something that we have access to. Yeah. So what they recommend is to go based off of your symptomology. So if you have all of those symptoms of magnesium deficiency, try it, start supplementing with it. And if your symptoms go away, then it was just magnesium deficiency. The beautiful thing is magnesium is safe to supplement with. The only people who really should avoid it are people who have very low blood pressure or people who have kidney disease. Because your kidneys process magnesium and get rid of any excess. So if those aren't working, then you could put yourself in danger. So those people need to be cautious. But outside of that, it's relatively safe to use.
Does that affect people with diabetes? Just out of curiosity.
In terms of, does magnesium affect people with diabetes?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Magnesium actually helps regulate your insulin levels. So people who have diabetes tend to benefit from taking magnesium. The other side of that is that sugar will deplete your magnesium levels. So for every 1 molecule of sugar that you eat, it takes 54 molecules of magnesium to balance that out. So the more sugar, the more sugar we eat, the more we torch our magnesium. The lower our magnesium is, the less responsive we are to insulin. So we see that there's this real vicious cycle when it comes to blood sugar and magnesium deficiency.
I honestly cannot even believe this conversation. I needed you 2.5 years ago when I started this show. Actually, then I probably wouldn't even have a show anymore because I'd be just fine. No, everybody knows I'm crazy. I'm never going to be fine. But when it comes to the magnesium supplementation, because I've read so much about it, especially in the pain department. So can you touch just real quick before we hit the dusty trail here on how magnesium can help with pain?
Absolutely. So magnesium is responsible for relaxing our muscles. So calcium, on the other hand, is responsible for tightening our muscles. So essentially when our heart beats, since our heart is a muscle, it's calcium and magnesium doing this beautiful dance, tightening and relaxing that muscle. The issue is that in our standard American diet, we get entirely too much calcium. Like the other day at the grocery store, I saw calcium-enriched cereal, calcium-enriched orange juice, calcium-enriched bread. Everything has calcium in it. And unfortunately, we're not getting enough magnesium. There isn't enough magnesium-enriched products out there to really balance that out. So we wind up with all of this calcium, not enough magnesium, and our muscles are constantly tight, tense, twitching, and causing just pain throughout our body. The other side of that is that magnesium is an incredibly powerful anti-inflammatory. There was a study done, I believe it was back in 2016, that tested people's CRP levels, right? And they found, participants that all had dramatically high CRP levels. And after supplementing, they found that those CRP levels went right back to normal. So they are seeing a really interesting correlation between high CRP and low magnesium as well.
Wow. Well, like I've said, I'm kind of mind blown, especially because we've tried so many things and it sounds so simple. But for something so simple that affects so many processes within our bodies, I'm just like, I'm going to shout you off the rooftops if this stuff works for me. I can't even begin to explain. I'm going to make you a millionaire. Send me an affiliate marketing link. I'm in.
I'll take it.
Seriously, because in all of these conversations that I speak with doctors and practitioners and all of this about pain, not one time has magnesium shown up in the conversation.
It is absolutely wild. I feel like Oprah needs to do a show about magnesium. Like, honestly, I feel like everybody needs magnesium. It's funny because in our household, anybody has anything wrong, I'm like, you just need magnesium.
Just slap some cream on.
Everything.
Do you have stocking stuffer sizes? You know what I mean?
everybody's getting it this year.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is just unbelievable. What an awesome conversation today. Before we head out of here, is there anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Just to not accept anybody else's version of normal. You get to decide what your normal is. No doctor, no physician, no one else in your world is allowed to tell you what you consider normal. So don't give up.
Oh, I love that for sure. Yes, absolutely. Because our body is our body. And we do not act the same as the person next to us. Our bodies are not the same. And I hate that we're treated, especially women, we're treated like we're making it up, or we're dramatic, or we're emotional. We're all these things. We're emotional and we're dramatic because we feel like crap all the time.
100%. We have so many demands on us all the time.
All the time, for sure. So we can find her online everywhere at berootedin.com. She is on Insta and Facebook and TikTok at berootedin. Thank you for being consistent with your handles, by the way. It's so much easier to find you. She's got that magnesium type cheat sheet on her website as well. I'll put this in show notes and in social as well. And thank you so much for educating us on this incredible magnesium-rific supplementation, because the pill form, I can't believe how much of it I have in my house right now that's all getting dumped.
Well, thank you, Lyndsay, for doing what you're doing to really spread awareness and just help people out all around the world. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks. I'm doing the best I can, Like we said in the beginning, I had no idea that I would ever be doing something like this. And it is my joy and my world. It is my soul food to do this show and to meet people like yourself. So thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You are exclusively invited to share this magnesium-rific VIP pain journey together. Let's get to the heart of how to heal with you by my side. There's absolutely got to be one of you out there that needed to hear this conversation, right? Or somebody that needed to. Send them our way. Both Natalie and I are here. We will 100% answer questions that you might have. You can reach out to me on social media and I can connect you with her. If you have any additional questions about these products and about magnesium as a whole, I would love to help all of you guys feel better, including myself. That's what we do here, right? Give our pain some purpose. Please follow the Pain Game podcast wherever you digest your podcast content. We will be there. Visit us at thepaingamepodcast.com and follow us on all the socials. Thanks for listening, my little VIPs. Catch you on the other side.